Welcome to soulspaceradio. All rights reserved. No part of this broadcast may be reproduced or transmitted in any form or by any electronic or mechanical means without the presenter's written permission. The presenters do not dispense medical advice or prescribe the use of any technique as a form of treatment for physical, emotional, or medical problems. The intent of the presenters is to only offer information of a general nature to help you in your quest for emotional and spiritual well-being.
Guys, welcome to Soul Space Radio. Yay! Another awesome week. This week we are kicking off with shapes. And before we start, these are sacred geometric shapes. And they're all throughout our history. And their sacredness is from very ancient times. And geometry was sort of the study that was undertaken in the Greek days, ancient Greece, where the belief was that if we could rationalize shapes, or the study of the mathematical equation and rationalization of shapes would then explain the world, the greater world around us. So what has happened is that most cultures have adopted the symbolism of shapes, and they can have all sorts of different meanings. So what I'm doing, I just wanted to clarify in terms of these active meditations, what we're doing is we are playing with Source. The point is to unify, to connect with Source for our unification, okay? So we're a channel for Source, that's simply what we are. We're a channel for Source, we're individualized divine, we're connecting with a larger part of ourselves, really, to become one with all that is, okay? That is the intention, that is unification, is becoming one with all that is. So really the smaller part of ourselves is connecting to the larger part of ourselves. If you want to think it that way, there is no large or small, but we're just becoming back to who we truly are, okay? So anything that I introduce into the space is just meant for play-based, but I wanted to kind of give a little sort of quasi-entertainment education on the way and talk about sacred geometry, but none of this is actually real other than what you believe or perceive. So you're perfect as you are. It's really just connection with Source. Like, we don't do this by ourselves. We connect with Source. We can't do it by ourselves. It's too hard, and we just push. We end up, getting depressed or getting into, burning ourselves out. So what we really do is just go with intuitiveness. But in introducing this meditation series, I just want to show you how much you can play, and you can play with some of these beliefs, because when a belief is practiced by a number of people, it kind of ends up having its own consciousness. And in that belief state, it's quite powerful, and you can leverage off that. So a preconception about a shape, and as I go through these, you'll actually realize, wow, I never really realized how much shapes were symbolic in my life. And you'll just you intuitively respond to shapes, but you're probably not aware of the social conditioning that has led to that. Okay, so the first shape today I want to talk about is the triangle. Okay, and so when you say triangle, or when you hear me say triangle, you're like, well, yeah, a triangle is a triangle, doesn't mean anything. That's really interesting, because it seems so simple to us that a triangle is a shape, but it actually is very symbolic in our society and in ancient society. So think in terms of the pyramids. Note that they're all in a triangular shape. And we're going to play not just with 2D triangles, but we're going to do 3D shapes. So this is all about three-dimensional geometry shapes. There's something about playing with three-dimensional shapes in a meditative space. Okay, so it's quite powerful, and that's my experience. Whatever you resonate with, right? So I just want you to know, though, you do not have to incorporate shapes. I like to play with shapes. I think shapes are really cool in assisting manifestation. But you don't have to use shape. It's really the feelings that create. But I kind of like the focus that a shape will provide. Okay, so let's go and talk a little bit more about triangles. Now, triangles are also actually a very Christian symbol, and you think of that in terms of the three. It's the Trinity of the Father, Son, and the Holy Ghost in a shape, okay? It's commonly represented by a triangle. And we're talking about equilateral triangles here, triangles with the same, equal sides. Okay, so it's also associated, obviously, with number 3. And, this is triangles and also have, connotations with past, present, future. Obviously, the 3. A spirit, mind, body, the 3. So the number 3, and the triangle is really quite relevant to our modern society, and it continues on being relevant to it. So there was another thing that I wanted to mention about shapes, and it will come to me. Okay. The other thing that I wanted to talk to you about is in some occult practices, it's used as a summoning, and you might be familiar with the pentagon. I think it is not the pentagon, the pentagonal, and it's used, in certain occult practices, witchcraft and things like that, to summon things within a triangle. Okay, I don't practice any occult activity. Some of this might be termed as occult because it's kind of outside of the norm. I don't personally believe there is any difference between occult practices or any other practices that you do. It's just the terminology, and I think the terminology occult is probably offensive because it has a preconception of things that are not so great, and that's not really fair either. So don't be led by preconceptions. Remember, it's just the way that you feel. Okay. All we do here is connect with source, and you can call that whatever you want to call it. That's all that's important. Okay, now I just wanted to mention point up, point down triangles. So a triangle that's pointing up, just think in terms of that is got connotations of ascending. So from earth to heaven is a triangle. Again, if you can think of the Egyptian pyramids, I think that was a point of that. It's also esoterically or symbolically an up-pointing triangle is male energy, and a triangle with the point downwards is female or divine energy, and it can also mean earth and water, and a triangle up, fire and air. Okay, so it's just playing into those, male and female symbolism that is throughout our planet. Okay, and when they're paired, when a triangle is paired together, it represents sexual unification and the principle of harmony. And again, it can also mean, obviously connection with source. Okay, because don't forget that the divine feminine is the guiding principle to connecting with source, who is symbolically male energy. Okay, male meaning intellect, logic, active energy. Female meaning passive, creativity, intuitiveness. Okay, cool. Okay, so that's pretty much all I wanted to talk today about triangles. And so what we're going to do is we're going to play as only we can do. And I really, like I said before, I really like to play with shapes, 3D shapes in particular. And I like to play with them and put things into them in terms of what we want manifest. And so today, if you want to think about what you'd like to manifest in your life, and I suggest that you start with something small, because your needs are always met, but your belief will not currently probably support that, because we live in a very lack-orientated society, okay, and scarcity-based society, which is absolutely not true, but that's most of our social conditioning. Okay, cool. So let's go. Think of something that you want to manifest. Make it small. It could be like money. It could be a job. It could be a new outfit. It could be shoes. It could be anything that you want. If you want to make it bigger, it could be a house. Anything that you like. Okay, so 3 deep breaths. Just see yourself. Get very comfortable. Plant yourself into wherever you are. Make yourself comfortable. 3 deep breaths. Just see divine, pure, divine love light. Remember All it is, God, source, universe, whatever you want to call it, is all around you at all times. You're always loved. And breathe in. So I see it as divine white light. Breathe in. And see each and every one of your cells alight with light and love. And breathe out through your heart. And in. Divine love light energy through your body, every cell alight, and out through your heart. One more. Divine love light energy into your body. All your cells alight. And this time, instead of breathing out through the heart, we're just going to dissipate the breath through the cells and out into the physical world. Okay, now I want you to imagine a pole of brilliant bright white light starting from the base of your spine, all the way up, all the way through your chakras, following your spine, out through the crown, and going into the center of the cosmos. And follow this bright, brilliant pole of white light with your consciousness till you're suspended in the middle of the cosmos. And just see yourself again. Change the color and the shape of space. Stars and dark space and stars, and change it up to brilliant bright white light. And just see this white light radiating into each and every cell in your body until the light dissipates your physical being, and look down and just notice that you've become all light. You're now one with all that is. And then start turning up the radiance. So become brighter, 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 and brighter. Just shining with pure love light. Okay? Just love. Just become one with universal love. Feeling completely safe, harmony, joy, love, abundance, beauty. Radiating health, eternal youth. Okay, now, and while you're in this space, imagine yourself surrounded by a triangle, or see a triangle in front of you. Just see it, each of the edges of the triangle as brilliant white light. Then put yourself in the middle of the triangle. And see it as a 3D shape around you. So see yourself sitting in the triangle. One point behind you, two either side. And just see each of the edges glowing with brilliant divine love light. And each of the sides of the triangle are clear, other than the edges of divine light. You couldn't really distinguish that you were in a triangle. And now coming back to the base of your spine, again, brilliant white light all the way up through the top of your crown, And then jump from the top of your crown. See the brilliant pole of white light. Just jump from the top of the crown to the point at the top of the triangle. Your head is directly beneath this. There's maybe a gap between your head and the top of the triangle. Maybe a gap of maybe a meter. Maybe a meter's gap. And at the top of the triangle is an accelerating tool, like a magnifier, like an electromagnetic current. And as you pulse out the white, as you connect with your white light, connecting to all it is, it amplifies the current and connects with all that is on an expansive and accelerated level. Almost like a lightning bolt or a lightning conductor. So you can let some of that energy come back into you and feel that connection to Source amplified. And you might grow bigger as you do this. Not so much your physical being, but your consciousness is expanding and accelerating. As we manifest increased consciousness. And just let it happen intuitively. You don't have to do anything. Just feel divinely blessed, gratitude, and appreciation for this experience. Now, when you're ready, you can see yourself on Earth. Put yourself in a paddock or in your home, but make sure there's a lot of wide open space in front of you, wherever you'd like to be. Actually, wherever is most logical for what you want to manifest. So, if you want to manifest clothing or shoes, you could do that in your house, or you could do that in a store. Just make sure there's lots of room around you, and don't just get distracted by anything happening around you. This is your picture. So use your imagination to put yourself into a space. It can be anywhere. Okay, and what I want you to do is put a triangle in front of you, a triangle shape. Just see it in front of you. You can make it the same height as yourself. Just see it in front of you. And just scale it with your eyes and your mind, so you can make it bigger, smaller, until you get it to exactly where it is. And you can change the color of it and just play with it in your mind. Okay, and then see what you want to manifest, whatever that may be. If you want to just see money, maybe just see a check for the amount, or if you can imagine how much it looks like in cash, that's fine. If you want to see a house or boat, just whatever you want, and then just scale the triangle to the size to match. But we won't put the triangle on top of it yet. I just want you to get familiar with seeing what it is that you wish to manifest in front of you. So you might have to think a little bit about what that actually looks like, what that would look like if it was really achieved. Then think about how that would feel. How would you feel if you manifested that item, if you had that item now? So if it's the shoes, put them on and walk in them. If it's clothing, put them on. Look at yourself in the mirror and think how fantastic you look. If it's money, imagine spending it and having fun. If it's a new house, walk in it, walk through it. If it's a boat, be on it. If it's a holiday, be on it. Okay. Okay, and when you've got the picture of what you want in front of you, and when you've felt what it feels like to have it, put the triangle on top of it. And the triangle is transparent. The edges can have, the sides of the triangle, the edges of the triangle can have light. And put the triangle over the top of whatever you wish to manifest. And then at the acceleration point, see divine love light, or that accelerator point, that electromagnetic point. See divine love light coming down from the heavens into the top of the triangle, and just sending brilliant bright white light into the item that you wish to manifest. And at the same time, just see yourself with that item, enjoying it. Sing it in front of you in the triangle, and then imagine yourself enjoying it and feel those feelings. The feelings of having it. If you've got money, the feeling of freedom, relief. Freedom's better because it's more expansive. The feeling of new clothes, confidence, joy. Beauty. So think about what you've manifested or what you want to manifest, and how that's going to feel to you when it's realized. And see yourself enjoying it. And then as the divine love light is shining, transmitting through the triangle into your manifestation, just pour all of those feelings out of your heart into the triangle. and continue in your mind to walk through having the experience of what you want. Be in it, on it, around it, touch it, taste it, smell it, feel it. And then stand up, walk into the triangle, and claim it. All the while, see divine white love light shining down on you, blessing you, knowing that all that you desire is a completely natural thing. And let the joy and gratitude for being in this experience and manifesting exactly what you want travel from you and up to the point of the triangle and back out into the universe. And just let it all come naturally. And just let it flow. And when you're ready, you can come back to the now, come back to the space. Hear the clock ticking, the traffic on the road, the wind. And you can open your eyes. And there we go. So I would love to hear if you manifest what you desired using the triangle. And now look, you don't have to use a triangle or a shape at all, but it's a sacred shape. And we've used it to, again, accelerate and leverage off our feelings, both in connection with Source. We've used it to leverage an accelerated consciousness or an expanded consciousness, and we've used it to leverage the feelings of what we want. We put them in a triangle structure, which is a rigid structure with a point that is ascending to heaven. So it's symbolic and it's special, and that significance has been given by history. So we're using a tool that is already existing and has been blessed and given a over time a consciousness of its own. We're using that tool to leverage off to manifest what we want. Okay, so what I really like, you can do that as many times as you like, both in terms of connection and expansion of consciousness and for whatever you want to manifest. But you don't have to use a shape. Like, the point is that you don't have to use the shape. We're just playing. I just want to play with it because you can leverage off symbols on this that exist in this planet that have those beliefs and conceptions behind them, even if you don't particularly believe in that, and you can leverage off it. Okay, because energy does not dissipate. It doesn't go. It just expands upon itself. In other words, if you really want something and you energize it using your heart muscle or a heart and mind, imagination space, you walk in it, you pretend that you've got it, all the rest of it, that energy doesn't, it goes into the fourth dimension, fifth dimensional space, subconscious, superconsciousness, and in that space, it does not ever it doesn't ever go, you just build upon it, okay? So I know that there is a lot of conception out there that if you desire what you want, you've got to release it, and which we've released it to source, but you've got to, like, you can't be obsessed and you can't think about it all the time, and you can't have all these feelings associated with it. Well, yes, you can when you connect with source, because it's not naturally obsessive. When you're doing it that way, it's passion, it's passionate. You're not actually obsessing about it, because you've had the experience of having it. It's just a natural experience, and there's nothing wrong with that. You're not contracting energy by obsessing about it. You're just going out there and playing with it. You've already got it, and you're doing it in connection with source. And when you do something in connection with your soul and spirit and source, then all things are harmonized. So you don't have to worry about being obsessed or anything in that space. And you certainly do not have to have a shape. But like I said before, you can leverage off preconceived beliefs, because that energy is here. It's here, and it doesn't dissipate and it doesn't go. So that's why you might learn about some ancient religions or ancient beliefs, and they still, if you play with them, they feel powerful to you. First of all, you've opened up to that connection. All things lead to source, but that energy stays here. It never dissipates. It doesn't go. It can be transformed. It can be leveraged, but it doesn't actually go. The energy is always there. Okay, so that is what I wanted to just, have the fun with some symbolic geometry shapes this week. Tomorrow we'll look at doing the circle. The circle is another amazing shape that's all throughout our culture, our history, and in the modern world. Just think of the wheel. And think of how amazing the circle's actually been in terms of when we've actually materialized that shape. Some of the things, the amazing things it's done for us in our history, including the wheels I just mentioned. Okay, cool. So I hope you've enjoyed this, and just play. All paths lead to connection with source, and that is all, and that is the most important thing. You don't have to worry about whether you're doing something right or wrong. There's no judgment from divine love. Source, God, universe, whatever it is, to me is interpreted as divine love. And there's no judgment in that space. No one's judging you, okay? There's no real right or wrong. You're always loved. It is unconditional divine love, okay? And from that space, you can do anything. There's full freedom in that. And therefore, there's full freedom to play with your connection as well. Cool. Okay, guys. Any questions? soulspaceradio@bigpond.com. Love you guys. Until tomorrow. See you soon. Bye.